Brady won a Super Bowl, so now I have to combat that, even though I've gone to 9 Super Bowls and won 6. I mean, it's like I don't know. I think that they are in a situation that they're going to look at the quarterbacks that best suit them, whether it's the draft or whether it's through free agency or a trade. It has to be the right guy that is going to help them win sooner rather than later. I don't think Bill Belichick's looking for a quarterback that could come along 6 years from now and help the franchise. He's looking for somebody who could help them, but they got so many other issues, as he's alluded to, Jay, throughout the course of the season, talking about the salary cap. And when people was like, oh, he's just making excuses, it's true. Their salary cap, they were in salary cap hell because they mortgaged off the future at the time for the present, which was to win those 6 championships and go to 9 different Super Bowls. And then when you have to come and pay in the end, that is what happened. That is one of the main reasons Tom Brady decided, yeah, I'm gonna take my services elsewhere. It's not just about him and Bill not seeing eye to eye or him not being able to have input on calling plays. He looked at the talent around him and said, no, I'm trying to win and have fun at the same time.
Key. I am starting to become a believer in what you say. Cam Newton will be the quarterback of the Patriots next year, but it seems like it will be by default because the demand is greater than the supply right now in the market. I mean, look at, and you read all these articles about, they were involved in, talks with Matthew Stafford just to kind of understand, what the trade assets, the collateral was. Yes, they were looking at potentially Carson Wentz and but all the assets that these are going for, and the amount of picks, it just seems like the price is too high. So if you're Bill Belichick, you're just going to be patient, stay disciplined, wait. And if you're able to push a guy like, hey, Jimmy G, depending upon what San Francisco wants, if it gets down towards the end and you can make the deal work for you and what's in the best long-term interest of your organization by not giving up too much, okay, or a Marcus Mariota or something like that. But if you don't, you got Cam Newton who's right there, and to all the things that you said yesterday about dealing with COVID, learning the playbook, doing everything on the fly, it seems like that makes the most reasonable sense moving forward if you can't extract the value you want from getting a trade.
Think about this though, Jay. You mentioned that the Patriots had some sort of conversations. We don't know it to what level about Matthew Stafford. There also were reports out there that they would have given up a second-round pick for Matthew Stafford. Think about that. They decided, like anything that you do, right? When you've gone places, J and Z, and decided, I think I might buy that watch. Let me see what they want. I'll give you 100. They like, well, no, we're not going to say. It's okay. You never mind. I didn't really want it anyway. And that's kind of what Bill probably was doing with Matthew Stafford. It's like, well, we'll give you a second-round pick if you just want to dump him. We'll see what he has left in the tank. We'll give you a 2. You can take it or leave it. And the Rams went out and did what they did because Bill wasn't that serious in grabbing Matthew Stafford. Because If he was, he wouldn't have let it walk out the door.
Exactly. And you got a guy like Cam who's there, who you can use as a safety blanket at the end of the day, Key. So it has to be the right deal.
Indeed. And I think one thing that both of you said that just needs to be repeated because people have so much given up on Cam Newton is the fact that if you give him a quote-unquote regular opportunity to win the job, which is to say, again, he was signed in June, he became official in July, didn't have OTAs, didn't have mini camp, didn't have the preseason, had a short training camp, battled COVID on the other side of the ball. They didn't have Donta Hightower. They had the highest amount of guys in the NFL that were displaced because of COVID. If you're telling me all of those things can be rectified, and Cam is 31, and he'll be under the tutelage of the best coach in the history of the NFL, every single thing I just said will be flipped on its ear. Belichick's still a genius. Cam motivated like never before. I don't think a take 2 on this is that much of a risk at all.
I laugh, Zug, and I chuckle because if you remember back when they signed Cam, first thing everybody was saying, oh, he's going to fight for his life with Jared Stidham and whoever the other guy.
Brian Hoyer, right?
Brian Hoyer. Jared Stidham and Brian, they're going to be in a quarterback competition. What did I say, Che? Yeah, quarterback competition. That's going to go over really well. Yeah.
How'd that work out?
Quarterback competition. It's easy to see. Like, if they signed Cam back, it's because they saw the same things that people that know football saw in a bad season, which is this young man has gone through a lot. We don't have a lot around him. If, in fact, we can do the things that we want to do with him, he will become better. Did he miss some throws? Absolutely. Did he look horrible at times throwing the ball? Absolutely. But I also saw moments where it's like, damn, that's Cam?
Yeah.
Man, he's still good. And so when you look at it, I can pick holes in everybody's game. I can talk about how bad Drew Brees looked at times during the season, where he played against the Las Vegas Raiders and almost said Oakland. He played against the Las Vegas Raiders, and you was like, Drew Brees need to retire. 2 weeks later, it's like, give him an extension. So you go back and forward with these things.
Also, I would mention, think about this. I hate being the woulda, coulda, shoulda guy. You know me, I'm the stats guy. If it happened, it happened. If it didn't, it did it. I hate to be the woulda, coulda, shoulda guy. But just consider this for a second. They were a 7-9 football team. They were stopped on the goal line on Sunday Night Football in September in Seattle. You give him that win, again, woulda, coulda, shoulda, you're an 8-8 team. Then he had the unfortunate fumble against Buffalo.
Yes, exactly.
Right? You give him that win, woulda, coulda, shoulda, then you're 9-7. The reason I say that is you're 7-9, but those 2 wins would have gone against teams that had serious Super Bowl aspirations. I mean, the Bills made it to the brink of the Super Bowl, and Seattle is always a competitive team year in and year out. And you give them those 2 games, you're 9-7, and you're in the playoffs. Probably you're in the playoffs.
If you have the 15th draft pick, maybe you take a guy like Mac Jones, who is more of a traditional quarterback, if Bill Belichick thinks that there's potential there, and you groom him. I mean, look, you can go about this in a variety of ways, but I think Bill Belichick staying disciplined is the most important aspect of it.
You could pick a couple games here and there, right? I mean, that if woulda, coulda, shoulda. You know, you look at the Kansas City game. As bad as they were playing, Kansas City, they were right there, but they were there with backups.
And that was the midst of the COVID week.
And that was the midst of the COVID situation, the craziness. So it's like all of these sort of things, they could have been a 9-7 football team, potentially a 10-6 football team with nothing.
Let me ask you guys this. We're going to go to Michael Collins and talk Tiger here in 4 minutes for those of you just waking up here on the East Coast, getting home on the West Coast, whatever it may be. We've got the latest on his condition and how the tour is reacting in 4 minutes. Jay mentioned the 15th overall pick for the Pats. It's the highest draft pick New England has had since 2008 when you-know-who got injured. By the way, if you want to note who they drafted that year, that high in 2008, Gerard Mayo, who's now their defensive coordinator. That was a great pick. But to Jay's point, look, they could go with Mac Jones. They could go with somebody else, but history has shown, and Key, I want to ask you this, and obviously Jay as well, Bill just doesn't draft first-round quarterbacks. It's just been shown. Jimmy was a second-round pick. Stidham was in the 4th. Obviously, Brady was in the 6th. I think we know that. But what do you think about the fact that this is a QB-heavy draft? They have the capital to move up. They're only halfway through the first round, and as Jay said, they eventually need to find their signal caller somewhere. Maybe it's in the draft. It's a move he hasn't made, but is it a move he should?
I don't think so, because what's always worked for him his entire career, even as an assistant coach, being on teams with veteran quarterbacks that can get the job done. They hit pay dirt, obviously, on Tom Brady. That was just like, I don't even know what to call it.
That's just the outlier of all outliers.
Exactly. If it wasn't for Mo Lewis, we may never hear of Tom Brady. That's how this league goes.
That's also true.
He knocks Drew Bledsoe out, Tom Brady comes, the rest is history. If Drew Bledsoe plays healthy the entire season, do they draft another quarterback in the 3rd round or something like that who's in a backup battle with Tom Brady? And does he win that backup battle because he was drafted higher than Tom Brady? So you got all these different scenarios that go into play in the National Football League. You look at whether he was with the Giants as a defensive coordinator. They didn't draft quarterbacks in the 1st round, but under Bill Parcells. You think about New England, they took Drew Bledsoe with the number 1 overall pick because they needed a quarterback in the worst way, and Bill was going to be the head coach forever. When you think about what he's done in New England, he didn't draft Jacoby Brissett in the 1st round. He didn't take Jimmy Garoppolo in the 1st round. He didn't go and get others. Matt Castle was another find for him that was like, oh, I found a guy who's going to